Hi there, welcome to I Alone Fly Tarot. I'm going to do a tarot card reading for Leo energy. And for this round, we're going to use this 10 card spread. We're going to read it from a couple different perspectives because life's about learning lessons and tempering your more immature, egoic nature to treat people in a just and fair way. Realize that love is the answer to grow and mature and heal yourself and free yourself from things that manipulate you. And everybody's kind of at different places of learning those lessons. You know, everybody's got free will. Some people have chosen, I'm not going to do love. I get hurt doing love. I'll operate from my ego, indulge myself in relationships, but I'm not really going to authentically invest in people. That would be kind of defensive, egoic energy. And then on the other side of the spectrum, you have the more loving, balanced people who have hope and faith and belief in love. And in between, you have some people somewhere on the spectrum. You know, we've all got some issues to deal with. We've all got some fears and self-limiting beliefs and other things that can influence our decisions. So this could be something that's particularly going on that maybe people who are a Leo sun sign or have significant Leo placements is a challenge for them right now, but then in turn it kind of affects us all because we all kind of either harness our own Leo energy in a more worldly, shadowy way or a more high vibrational way, and we're dealing with all these other people that free willingly can choose to harness their Leo energy just like all the other zodiac sign traits and characteristics in a more high vibe way or a more worldly, shadowy way. So high vibe Leo is, you know, being more authentically yourself, not creating an illusion, not trying to confuse people about the truth of you, who you are, living your authentic life. High vibe, you're loving and warm and hopeful and believing in love have tempered your ego. So, I view this card as the overarching reason for the reading, which is the change card. Also, because of the vehicle on the card, it makes me think of the chariot card, which is Cancer energy. And the chariot card talks about moving forward in life victoriously. And for some people, that's what's most important, to look like they're moving forward victoriously, for people to view them as an emotionally stable, balanced, loving person. But for some people, that's not the truth of who they are. It's just to create that illusion so that other people will move forward with them in relationship or workplaces and things like that. And other people really are who they say they are. So we have the crossroads in reverse, the thief, and the heart. Both the crossroads, that kind of does say Libra energy on it. The heart card says Libra energy. The the crossroads card can be about where people could have not been sure what their truth was because we have all these lessons to learn in the world. You know, initially we haven't learned to listen to our intuition, is what the Two of Swords can talk about. You know, we're kind of caught up in ourselves and we're kind of pretty motivated and inspired by the world. I view the Thief card as kind of an Aquarius energy of the Seven of Swords. You know, and we're all pretty caught up in the world for the first 30, 40 years of our life, where, you know, we want these things of the world. We want to move forward with certain things. We view certain things as being victorious and successful, and we have our ideas of what we think is just and fair. And we come in contact with all these different people and we get certain jobs and friendships and relationships. And, you know, we're trying to kind of figure out in the Seven of Swords, is that my truth? Is that my truth? Is this more aligned with my truth? Is that? And, you know, it can take a long time. We want to maybe bring a dream into reality, but, you know, sometimes we're living more from our mind than our heart. Sometimes we're more caught up in ourself or the ego or the image. You know, and it's the heart card in Libra. Libra is represented by the Two of Swords, the Three of Swords, and the Four of Swords. And in the Three of Swords, you know, because we have our dualistic nature, we kind of have conflict between our heart and our mind because there's a part of us that kind of wants to be more about ourselves maybe and these things of the world that we want, but then We love certain things, we enjoy certain things, we love certain people, and that can contradict with what we thought we wanted and how we thought we wanted to live our life. And so the 5 and the 7, but this one is more like the 7. It's those points in our life where, it's challenging because some people have picked a path. We have our dualistic nature. I can choose to make my life building a foundation more on hope and faith and belief and love, and that is the most important driving factor. Do I want a job? Do I want friendships? Do I want relationships? Yes. But do I love that job? Do I like those people? Do I love those people? I'm not going to just choose those things and get involved in those things more for the status or the ego or the image. And then there's other people who have picked a path, and their path is, yeah, no, love, that's not the driving factor. It is, we've got to maybe be practical, we've got to be grounded. The most important thing is to look victorious and successful in the world. And I will work with people and take certain jobs that I don't like, be in career fields I don't like, so long as it gets me what I feel is just and fair and makes me look victorious and successful. And then we have the people in between who can't decide, right? And all these life experiences are trying to help us get more clear about our truth, which is Leo energy. What is your truth? And are you willing to live your authentic truth? If you are more about ego and image, live your life being authentic about it. But some people who are more about ego and image and money and materialism, they don't want other people to know that that really is kind of more of a driving factor in their life than love. Some people, other people, they free willingly, I'm an indulgent, I'm narcissistic, I'm all about myself, I'm more materialistic, and they are who they are. Those are people who've picked a path. They're not stuck. The Two of Swords in the upright can mean people either are listening to their intuition or they're stuck. And there's some people in the world, they're not stuck. They have picked their path. We, on the other hand, might look at people and we might think, oh, they're caught up in their head. Oh, they're caught up in their fear. Oh, all these things. And we could be deceiving ourselves. No, they have kind of shown us the truth of who they are. And in our own Leo energy, we should deal with the truth of it. But sometimes we don't like to see the truth about people in our life that we love or we care for. But there are some people in our life, they don't want to listen to their intuition. I think our intuition was given to us as a gift, just like our emotions and our creativity and our imagination and our passionate nature. It makes us more than an animal and more than a computer. But some people, and I think our intuition wants us to grow to our full potential. But if some people's intuition wants them to take more bold, brave, confident action in the man card, which says Aries, and the masculine cards can just represent how people are taking action in the world, how they are presenting themselves in the world, and taking action in the world, because that's considered masculine energy. And we can all present ourselves in the world and take action in the world in whatever way we want. But how do we really think and feel? And the feminine figures can talk about how we really think and feel. And, the masculine figures can also represent, whether people are male or female, that some of them could be operating more from their egoic nature, right? And some people don't want to listen to their heart and they don't want to listen to their intuition. That does tell me to love and believe in myself, heal and grow and mature myself, treat other people the way I like to be treated, be more just and fair. And some people are like, no, I'm a little bit more about myself. And Aries in fire sign energy, we all tap into Aries energy, is about the self. And some people are more about themselves. And we just need to see the truth of it and quit being in denial of the truth of it. When people show us over and over that they really don't like to, Libra energy represented by the scales of justice, they don't really like to be more just and fair in a relationship. They kind of like it a little bit more about them. and maybe a little bit more their way or the highway. I mean, if they indulge themselves in their more immature, prideful, stubborn, egotistical, whatever, immature, lazy ways of being, they've justified it. They think it's just and fair. And then they think other people should think it's just and fair. But, not everybody does. We all have our own ideas of what we think is just and fair. And we all, the Seven of Swords, Aquarius energy, we all have our own dreams. Can we initially, again, through the first 30, 40 years of our life, can we kind of be manipulated by people and caught up in people and be more about ourselves and these things of the world? Yeah. Aries, fire sign energy. Leo is also fire sign energy. You know, we're fired up about a lot of things. We're attracted to a lot of things. We can be attracted to people. They can be charming. They can be attractive. They could look like they have justice in the world, look stable, look abundant, shining bright in the world. We sometimes want to be in that energy ourselves instead of being more just and fair. We sometimes want to be in relationship with people who are in that energy, and we're kind of tipped out of balance and kind of tempted more by these things of the world that we want to indulge in, right? And so sometimes, we all have lessons to learn, but sometimes we can get more mismatched relationships. Sometimes people who are more about themselves and a little maybe more bossy and controlling or immature or whatever, they like to be in relationships with loving people because you're loving and encouraging and you're not maybe bossy and controlling and more about yourself. And it's like, that's balanced. How about I be more shadowy, you be more loving? I think this is a just and fair relationship. You offset me. But the only thing is, the more hopeful, believing people who harness high vibe Aries energy, who are inspired in their Aries and their Leo energy to be in loving, authentic relationships, it's like, eventually they start to realize I don't want to be in a relationship with someone who also isn't in more high vibrational energy. If you're kind of deceptive and manipulative and kind of full of yourself or bossy or controlling and you think that's just and fair, well, it might work for you to be in a relationship with people who are loving and encouraging, but the loving and encouraging people are in a relationship with you. And that doesn't really seem just and fair. The other people kind of learn lessons in life. That if I'm more about myself, and shadowy Aquarius and shadowy energy could be where you're kind of think it should be more about you or the center of attention and whatever, other people aren't going to want to hang out with you. So other people kind of got away from thinking it was just and fair to be more about themselves, and they tempered their more ego nature to get more balanced within themselves. That if I want to be in relationships with people and, give birth to something new instead of repeating this old pattern over and over where people don't want to be in a relationship with me, I better. The stork also says Aries energy. I need to tip in favor. I kind of view the sevens as kind of being more tipped in favor of being in one viewpoint or the other because there's 12 zodiac signs, and it's kind of like we need a majority rules of, are we more in line with our hopeful, believing, loving nature, or are we going to be more about ourselves or the world or defensive or fearful or insecure or whatever, And so the sevens are kind of that tipping point. And so some people didn't listen to their intuition and currently are not listening to their intuition. And they're still more tipped in favor of being more about themselves and the world. They want to give birth to something new. To, they've decided they don't want to be more emotionally balanced and do love. And they might realize too that, why do I keep trying to get, it's nice to be in relationships if they're a person who's kind of more about indulgence or themselves or ego or image or whatever, more so than love. They could have been putting a lot of work and effort always trying to be in relationships with people who are more emotionally mature and balanced and loving than they are. And then even those people eventually are like, I'm done. you know, I want to hang out with people who are more like me. I want to go indulge in this. Do you want to go indulge in that? Perfect. Do you want to make your life more about this? I'm really focused on this. This is important to me. And they find other people who are focused, and that's what's kind of most important in their life. Eventually people pick a path. So the people who are like, yeah, no, love is not my thing. Do I want to be in a relationship with people that I'm attracted to, who might seem kind of stable and maintain some balance in their life, who want to have a new beginning, but, you know, we get along well enough and we can be attracted to each other and, it's good. Don't really have to more emotionally invest in love. We can use our emotions kind of to a degree, and we can use our sexuality, and we can use all these things, and we're compatible. And some of those people are moving forward, and everybody can be moving forward in new beginnings. The people who are more shadowy could decide, I'm done trying to get people who really I'm not on the same page as them. I'm done trying to manipulate and control people to get them to think I'm something other than I am. I want to live my authentic life. And I'm going to go live my authentic life. And I'm going to move forward in life the way I want to move forward. And the high vibe loving people, too, is like, I'm no longer confused about my truth. I've been in relationships with people who are more about this and that, and I've been more this and that. I want to stand up for what I believe in, and I don't want to be in relationships with people who harness their Cancer energy in a more shadowy way, where they kind of use their fire sign energy and their Libra energy and their Aquarius energy. I don't want to be in relationships with people who try to present themselves as more motivated to be just and fair and loving when they show me they're more about themselves or ego or image or indulgence. You go find someone more like that. I'm going to go find people who are more like me. So we have those people in the world. Well, for the people in the world who haven't picked a path, well, those people could really feel stuck because they could have been in relationships with more authentic and loving and warm, encouraging people. Those people kind of were illuminated to the truth. We're no longer in denial, is what the Two of Swords can talk about. They realized how the more shadowy people in their life wanted to move forward and what their truth was and what drove and motivated them. And it's like, yeah, your truth is different than my truth. What you think is just and fair is different than what I think is just and fair. And those people moved on. And the difference between the Two of Swords and the Seven of Swords is the Five of Swords, which also is Aquarius energy. I have a dream, you have a dream, and there's conflict between our dream. In order for a dream to move forward, we should have the same truth. Otherwise, I'm trying to go this way and you're trying to go that way. And the motivating factor for it isn't the same. And so some people who were kind of trying to be deceptive and manipulative have maybe had different people in their life that got over their mental conflict about them and they've moved on. The people who are more about the world, I moved on. I'm making my life more about me or the world. Or if you're not letting me control you or manipulate you and you willing to indulge me, then forget you. I'm moving on with someone else. And the high vibe people are moving on with someone else. So the people who can't decide what they want to do or just keep wanting to play both sides of the fence, like present myself as more loving when I'm not, present myself as being inspired and attracted to people who are more about ego and image when really that's not my truth, but I could feel kind of like people who I'd like to be in a relationship with aren't in my life or available or around, and they're looking for someone else who isn't moving forward in something. They could think, people can be moving forward. They might just not be in a relationship. But some people who are very much about wanting to indulge in a relationship and ego and image could really think other people would want to get in a relationship with them just for being in a relationship or the ego and image. And some of those people are going to try to approach different people. And for some of those, it's not going to work out because other people are operating from high vibe energy. Uh, would I be willing to fire sign energy can be communicating with people? Am I willing to get to know you? Yeah, I don't know you. Am I willing to get to know you? To get to know you better, to find out what your truth is, and what's going on in your life, why some things didn't work out, how you're moving forward, kind of what drives and motivates you. And the ending card, of course, reminds me of the death card in tarot, which is Scorpio energy. High vibe people and shadowy people, they're trying to figure out, are the people that want to be in a relationship with them kind of more, the shadowy people don't want to be maybe in a relationship anymore with people who are more motivated and inspired by love. I've already been there and done that. That's not my truth. I'm not even going to bother. So the shadowy people could try to get to know people, and it's like, I kind of think you're too much about love. And yeah, no. If you're kind of a little more want to be in a relationship, it looks good, we get along well enough, it's okay to be more superficial and shallow, then I'd maybe move forward with you. And the high vibe people are like, are you more emotionally shallow and superficial and more about ego and image? Then no, I don't want to be in a relationship with you. you know? So the whole thing is, when we were all younger, say 21, 25, 18 in there, uh, we viewed life the way we viewed life, whatever way it was. We thought it was just and fair. And we went out in the world to get in relationships with these different people. And we also got in these more mismatched relationships. And eventually people kind of got more clear about what their truth was. And that's kind of how they're moving forward. But again, then there's some people who are like, well, I still haven't picked a path, or I don't want to pick a path. And it gets harder and harder because other people have picked a path. They're either definitely more aligned with their more worldly, egoic type nature, driven and motivated by, and other people are more wanting a balance where, it's not the end all be all. Do I want stability and security and some of those things too? Yes, but I'm not willing to sacrifice love for it, or authentic relationships, or loving and encouraging relationships, where some of the other people might be willing to do that. And, then there's the people who might want to give birth to something new, but maybe because they keep kind of going back and forth or juggling or being kind of two-faced, presenting themselves as being one kind of person, but then people find out they're a different kind of person, they could have a hard time finding someone to want to move forward with them. And they still don't want to listen to their intuition. We're either willing to deal with the truth, or we keep wanting to stay in denial of the truth. The people who are like, hey, yeah, I am a little bit more bossy and controlling. If people want to be in a relationship with me, they got to put up with me being more bossy and controlling. Or I'm immature, or I'm indulgent, or I'm more materialistically motivated. And the high vibe people, in turn, are like, I've learned lessons too, and I know what kind of people I don't want to be in a relationship with anymore, and I'm not going to keep indulging people in their poor behavior. Love is supposed to be just and fair. People are supposed to treat you the way they like to be treated. And I've been in a relationship with people who are deceptive and manipulative and aren't who they say they are. And I've learned to listen to my intuition. And so I do think the people who kind of wanted to go back and forth, like whoever benefited me best at the moment, um, could find themselves a little bit at a standstill. And again, some of those people were being two-faced, and people in their life, they want to move forward in the way they want to move forward, more high vibe or more worldly focused. And some of them just can't make a decision. When a card is in reverse, it can mean extremes, and the Two of Swords is being stuck, some is what it can mean. And some people are very stuck because they just can't decide what the hell they want to do. And then there's some people in the world, it's always to look to other people to be the answer to their problems. Some people can look to like drugs or alcohol or booze or gambling or whatever to be the answer to their problems. Some people look to other people to be the answer to their problems. But when they get in relationships with people, they might not want to see the truth that they're not very just and fair, that they are kind of more inspired to be more about themselves. They might want to move forward with those people, and initially those people could kind of grant them grace and, work together with them. But eventually, when they keep seeing, you can be loving and encouraging and supportive to people, but if they never do that work within themselves, because the death card can talk about transformation, where I need to, when I'm in loving and encouraging and supportive environments, I maybe should kind of get more balance within myself, work through some of my fears, my insecurities, my bad habits, and unclear thinking, or how I'm tipped out of balance in some way, to get more balance within myself and feel in high vibe fire sign energy more confident within myself. That's what some people do when they're in loving and encouraging environments, like workplaces where people aren't being hurtful and unkind and blah, blah, blah. It gives you, and same way with relationships, it gives you that opportunity to get balance and really think about what you would like to give birth to next. But while you're in those environments, you should be treating other people in a just and fair way, and you should be working together with them cooperatively, in whatever it is that, they are wanting you to work with them cooperatively towards, which can be, we all work through detaching from our more being about ourself and our ego and or self-pity or self-centeredness. If you are going to be in this environment where these people are, they want to move forward in an emotionally balanced way at a minimum, right? And some people aren't even willing to do that. Well, no, I do want a job, and yeah, I appreciate that you people are nicer than other people I worked with, and yeah, I want to have a friend, and yeah, I want to be in a relationship, and I could be appreciative that you people could be more loving and encouraging and supportive than some of the other people, but I still don't want to kind of get in the driver's seat of my own life. And some people just want to give birth to this, like over and over. It's like creating the illusion that I want to give birth to something new, but I really don't. I want to do this. I don't want things to change. I create the illusion, deception that I want to give birth to something new, but I really don't. I don't want to change. And I don't want you to change. And I don't really want to move forward in life differently. I don't want you to move forward in life differently. Let's just put an end to moving forward in life differently. And let's just do this. That is like dead energy, stagnant energy. Nobody's growing and healing and maturing themselves. Nobody's looking at life from a higher perspective. Nobody's inspired to do anything any different. Let's keep giving birth to non-life giving energy and say we changed. And that's kind of what some shadowy people do. I want to go get a new job. Oh yeah, that last job, that didn't work out. I want to go get a new job so it makes it look like I've changed and I'm moving forward victoriously. Oh yeah, that last relationship didn't work out. I want to go get in a new relationship. It might be in a relationship with someone, because the death card is Scorpio energy, which is emotional water sign energy. I might want to get in a relationship with someone I don't even love if that person looks like, if I were to align with them, it would make me look like I must be a loving person. I must be an emotionally balanced person. I must look victorious and successful. I must look like I've moved on. But they are only like using other people to create that illusion. They really have not changed at all. So as you're moving forward in life, there can be people from your past that want to get back in relationship with you, because you might look like you're moving forward more victoriously and successfully than they thought before, or they didn't think you would do that, or they thought there was someone else that they could get in a relationship with and look like that was going on in their life, but maybe that didn't work out. And so now it's trying to create the illusion that they've changed. And some people really have changed. We can know different people. This could be some people from your past. Some of them have changed, some of them haven't. And I think you've learned enough lessons in life now not to get, if you're someone who can be very nurturing and loving to people, and that kind of used to get you tipped out of balance where you indulge people in their poor behavior, you're kind of more inspired to kind of stand up for your more creative, inspired, loving nature. You're not the same person you were before, and some people might not realize that. Are you still a loving, high vibe Leo, warm, loving, encouraging person? Yes. Am I going to keep putting up with the same bullshit I used to put up with before? No. I've got more balance within myself because I saw when I was kind of more tipped out of balance, being more inspired to help other people change, other people took advantage of it. And they took advantage of my loving nature, and that I would put a lot of work and effort to try to make something. That's what high vibe people do. They put a lot of work and effort to make things move forward in an emotionally balanced, just, fair, stable, grounded, loving way. And that's what some shadowy people count on. Can I get in a relationship with you? And then once I get you to move forward in it with me, then I can kind of quit putting in the work and effort and contribute to making it more just and fair and emotionally balanced and moving it forward. And I can be a little bit more about me, and I just sit back. That's fiery, shadowy fire sign energy, which anyone can harness, where I just kind of sit back and you put in all that work and effort to make it work. This is great. This works for me. I think this is just and fair. And people do that, and they're trying to get things to move forward, and they can move things forward for a long time. And, it seems just and fair and it seems balanced and loving until they kind of realize that, you know, I seem to be the one who's putting in all the work to make it more just and fair and balanced and loving. And the other people seem to be more about themselves and kind of indulging themselves in it, and more about themselves or their ego or their image. And we're not going to keep moving forward in this way. And just like some of you have already gone through that, some other people could have started, again, maybe feeling really stuck. And it's like, why do I feel really stuck? What is it? I don't know. Is it something within me? I mean, I don't want to blame the people I'm with. Why? And it's confused. It's confusing. Scorpio can talk about, we are emotionally complex human beings, and it is confusing. And, we can love people. We can want this dream to come into reality. We kind of don't want to see the truth about people we're in a relationship with. We want the job to work. We want the friendship to work. And so we can also, some people right now could still be in denial because they don't want to see the truth. And so they're going to go on that journey for as long as they need to go on the journey until they're willing to deal with the truth. And we have to work through all that emotional confusion about, like, I don't want to keep moving forward in this job. I don't want to keep moving forward in this friendship or this relationship. I don't think it's going where I wanted it to go anyway. Or people made certain promises if it was a job and that isn't happening. Or these people created an illusion about the type of person they were or the work environment. And it's not that at all, I have come to find out. And, if you're going to want to bring a dream into reality, if your dream is justice and fairness and authenticity and love, and big thing with Leo is authenticity, that it really is authentically who you are. Not, I'm kind of more emotionally shallow and superficial, but I'll use my emotions kind of in a manipulative way. I'll use my sexuality, I'll use my charm, I'll use my words, I'll use my resources. And when we go out in public, I'll act this, but it's like putting on a show. It's like, I don't want a show. I want authentically people who want to move forward with me because they love me and who are authentically loving. And that can be when some relationships end, and some people, just like some of you, are kind of going through that phase. Other people could just be getting in, we all got to learn these lessons. And maybe we weren't listening to our intuition when we got in some of those things, because again, we have lessons to learn about that. We can be more caught up in the world. We can be more caught up in ourselves. We can be more manipulated by our fear and our insecurity and not believing in ourselves. And all that life experience, I am tired of feeling stuck and deceived and manipulated. And I can't change other people. The only person I can change is me. Do I wish other people would change? Do I wish other people were different? Do I wish they were more bold and brave and confident? Do I wish they were willing to step out of their comfort zone? Do I wish they were more emotionally balanced? Do I wish they were more loving? Do I wish they had more hope and faith or looked at life from a higher perspective instead of being so caught up in the world, or more independent and less codependent? Yes. But they have to make that free will choice within themselves and be motivated and inspired to even do it, to give birth to something new. And they might sometimes think of it, but then they put an end to that idea. And they decide to just keep living life the way they've been living it, do life the way they've been doing it. And some people just aren't ready to live their more authentic life, which is more high vibe Leo, to live their more authentic truth, to be more bold and brave and confident. And the whole thing is, they might have to repeat some of these patterns and go on these journeys in life to learn more lessons until they get to the point too where, like, oh my gosh, I can't do this anymore. But they may never get to that point. It just depends on, what really kind of more is their truth and what more drives and motivates them. So we don't want to keep feeling stuck and up in our head or maybe heartbroken. We have to be illuminated to the truth. The people who are more motivated and inspired to work with us to bring that dream into reality would be people who are working together with us. And the people who aren't for a reason. Their truth could be different. What drives and motivates them is different. Some of them are in their own loving relationships and they've moved on, and we need to accept the truth of that. Then they become a good role model for us. But we need to see the truth that some people aren't moving forward with us because that's not how they want to move forward. And so we get out of our more shadowy Leo egoic nature about it. We get inspired to kind of let go maybe of that old dream. And it is Aries Emperor who gets in the driver's seat of the chariot. When we decide, because Aries energy in high vibe energy is the Emperor, I have learned all these lessons in life. I have let my heart run my life and driven my life into the ditch. I have let my more immature, passionate nature run my life and drove my life off into the ditch. I have let my more being caught up in things of the world or worried about things of the world and gotten in relationships with people who are more about the world, and that didn't work out. And making it more about my mind or my defensive nature or my fear. High vibe Aries Emperor, which we have two cards of giving birth to something new. We have to learn those lessons, and high vibe Aries is about harnessing all four of like the kings, and we would do that because emotionally we've learned lessons in all four suits of the deck of the queens, and I'm no longer going to be tipped out of balance letting one, two, or three aspects of the traits and characteristics of the four zodiac suits of the zodiac sign. I have learned to get balance within myself. All aspects of myself are equally important. I might have used to thought, no, love is the most important, or no, the world is more important. No, my passionate nature. No, my defensive nature, or my mind, or whatever. All of them are equally important. And I want to be in relationships with other people who know they're equally important, because some of the people who aren't moving forward with me still might think some aspects of themselves are less important, like putting in work and effort to move things forward. That could be in a way harnessing more Capricorn or Earth sign energy, and we actually don't have any Earth sign energy out. We have to be practical, we have to be grounded. It takes work and effort, and some people are like, no, I think I can cheat the system and just find people who have those things that I want, and I'll go get in a relationship with them. Other people think their emotional nature is less important. No, no. That I could get hurt with. These other aspects are more important. Other people, they're just more about themselves. They're more about their image, you know. They're all equally important. High vibe people have realized that, and they've realized that love is what makes it all worthwhile. I can be a shining star in the world. I can have what looks like justice in the world, but if it's not love, there's a Bible verse I read it at weddings in like First Corinthians, you know. But if you don't have love, it's like a resounding gong. If I have people who are willing to indulge me in my every whim and more codependent on me, and it's more about me, I'll be happy then. But it's not love. Those people could stay in a relationship with you more out of their fear and their insecurity. Really? Is that what you're proud of? Well, good for you. Good for you that you found someone who's not going anywhere, and maybe that you belittle and berate and all that good stuff and did things to intimidate and control them so they don't love themselves anymore. Yeah, you're a great leader in the world. Way to go. You know, but for some people, that is what they think is the idea of the dream relationship. It's more about me. I just want a relationship where someone won't ever leave. That would be bad for my ego, and I'm so consumed in my ego. I don't want to be in a relationship where maybe it wouldn't work out. Boy, I'll settle for whoever just so they won't leave. Okay, so let's go look at these three cards that aren't showing themselves. Everybody's moving forward. Well, some people are moving forward. I think they do want to move forward. Some people just don't want to move forward in an emotionally balanced, loving way. The high vibe people who love themselves are moving forward. Some of the fearful people or don't want to step out of their comfort zone, they want to move forward exactly the way they've been moving forward. Just do the status quo. As people are trying to meet other people in the world and get to know other people and people that they know in their workplace and their community and whatever, because regardless of who we have in our life that we are moving forward with and people in our life who aren't moving forward with us, we're always going to meet new people, right? And as people go forward, other people see you and work with you and know you, and other people could want to wonder if they want to move forward with you. The shadowy people are trying to figure out if they can manipulate you and control you. You know, you might seem like you seem bold and brave and confident, and you might not be more about maybe not moving forward in a relationship or something, and then they might think, hey, I wonder if I can be the next person to indulge in you. Um, and more high vibe people could wonder if you are who you say you are. And the more shadowy people are going to hide that they harness this energy in a more shadowy way. Shadowy people are trying to figure out if you harness these energies in a more shadowy way or not. And high vibe people and you with other people are going to try to figure out if people harness this energy in a high vibe way. So what are they? The gift of money, which could be interpreted like the Ace of Cups, the lilies, which says Capricorn, and the clover, which says Sagittarius. There's people who want to be in relationships with other people, and they're hiding that the reason they want to be in this new relationship in Capricorn energy is it has those things of the world that they want, and that's what they want to indulge in. Even if it's a loving person, you seem maybe very stable, grounded, inspired by love. I want to come indulge in a relationship with you. Or you have money, status, image, power, influence, social clout. I want those things, so I'll be willing, I think, to indulge you in a relationship. That's the third. Sagittarius is the third fire sign. So some people in their fire sign energy, they're more aligned with their worldly nature. Some people in their fire sign energy, which Leo is one of, are more motivated and inspired by love. And then there's the people that kind of immature and got some lessons to learn in life. Um, if some people try to deceive and manipulate the high vibe people, yeah, that'll come to an end. And that won't move forward very far because the high vibe people aren't stuck and they've learned to uh, listen to their more, invest in their more creative, inspired nature. They have learned these lessons to free themselves from the devil because the opposites. Shadowy Capricorn energy is represented by the devil. I've already been in relationships and known people who are more immature and blah, blah, blah. And I've already seen the truth of it. I'm no longer in illusion about it. And now I am kind of more inspired to listen to my more creative, inspired nature to guide me. And I listen to my intuition about people and the subtle kind of clues they give about the type of person they are. Um, Will I wish them like peace and move on? Yeah. If I have to work with them in a work environment, I will be moving away from them and not be investing much time, energy, and effort into them. And they will kind of get the hint pretty quick that, oh shit, I didn't realize that this person had learned lessons about people like me, but they did. And I see I can't kind of play those games with them. And I guess if it's a more social setting or romantic relationship, it's like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, that's not going anywhere. Yeah. I can't manipulate them. I can't control them. Yeah, we kind of live life differently. For high vibe people who get to know you, they're trying to figure out, are you who you say you are, or are you more of one of the shadowy people? And as they get to know you and you get to know people, you will find that some people have learned these lessons in life and they too have freed themselves from their more immature, indulgent nature and more worldly nature. And those are people you each inspire each other to like love and believe in yourself and be more bold and brave and confident and believe in your dreams, and you're loving and encouraging and supportive people to each other. And that could just be something, that could be what you're trying to give birth to. And so that's what you kind of focus your time, energy, and effort onto instead of focusing your time, energy, and effort on some people in your life who weren't reciprocating or weren't putting work and effort in you. And some of those people kept thinking, oh, no, no, shadowy people, instead of being authentic and truthful and honest, they do deceptive and manipulative things, hoping you won't love and believe in yourself and hoping you will make them another offer to get back involved with them because you haven't freed yourself from your more codependent nature, worldly nature, immature nature, lustful nature, whatever, right? And some of those people are seeing you're not making them an offer to work together with them or communicating with them anymore. The Sagittarius can be about communication. And they're like, well, I'm confused. This normally works with people. I know they're a loving person. I know they could have love for me. I know they would like this to move forward in a more just and fair way, but they wanted me to be more inspired to change, and I don't want to change. So I'm going to maybe distance myself from them, not communicate with them, not invest in them. But the difference is the high vibe people probably already communicated their truth in love to these people. They, in turn, knew what your truth was because you told them. This is kind of the lessons I've learned. This is not what I'm doing anymore. And I don't want to invest in people who are like that anymore. And I've already cut people out of my life who live their life in a more, what I think is a more immature, shadowy way of being. And this is how I'm moving forward. And I do look at life from a higher perspective. And I am inspired to give birth to something new. And I'm not more about the ego or image or looking like love. I really want it to be in high vibe relationships are balanced, like the Libra energy here, where do we put in work and effort to have these things in the world? Yes, but we're also balance within ourselves, or it's not more that it should be about you or more about me. We're working together to bring a common goal into reality, respecting each other as their individuals, being loving and encouraging for each of them to go pursue their dreams, and enjoying ourselves on the journey. That's high vibe Sagittarius. Life is a journey. Let's go create our own life. And some people, they had this way of viewing life and relationships, and that's how they thought it was going to go. And it could be where it's more about conforming to the world, or being a little bit more about them, or a little bit more about the world. And they hadn't thought of really going on an adventure. That's harnessing your fire sign energy in a more high vibrational way. Let's quit making our life more. I mean, we can have our jobs, we can want for the stability and security, and we do all that. But we also quit making our life more about conforming to the world, and think about what we would like to go do and what we'd like to go experience. And we go do some of those things, you know? But some people are very much about, well, we can't do that. I don't know anybody else who does that. What would people think? You know, and it's all these kind of unwritten rules and regulations of how you should live your life, you know, and well, we'd be doing things differently, and that's unknown territory. And what if it doesn't work out? And what if we try something and I don't know? You know, they just don't kind of harness their fire sign energy of kind of, they're still just kind of more caught up in conforming to the world or being about the world. Some, and some are ready to put an end to that and go with you on this journey, or it will be the people, some of the people in your life are currently in your life working that way with you. Could it be scary to them? Could there be people in their life that are like, what are you doing? You know, but they're like, you know, I'm going to listen to my intuition. You know, high vibe people inspire you to look at life differently. And sometimes if someone comes into a group who is more balanced, more inspired, more loving, more encouraging, and they've had people generally there that are more kind of wanting to just go with things the way they are, not really putting in a lot of work and effort. Let's just keep doing the status quo. That can bring a whole new energy in, and it could make them kind of look at life differently. Like, wow, there are people out there in the world. Some other people who are more high vibe say it's a workplace, that it's like, wow, there are other people out there. We've kind of had some people here that seem to kind of want to coast and don't really want to work more cooperatively, or even put in work and effort to move things forward, like just the minimum or the status quo. And wow, this has really kind of ignited other people to think, I think some of these dreams are possible, because now we could have someone who is a little bit more grounded, who is puts in more work and effort, because Capricorn energy can be where you hide that you're more worldly focused and you're kind of immature, and you know, it's just kind of for how you can benefit. But other people put in work and effort because they authentically are inspired to put in work and effort. It's not just how I can benefit. I feel proud of myself when I put in work and effort to work together with people cooperatively, and I am a naturally like loving person, and I like to be loving and encouraging to other people, and the other people are like, wow, that's different. And it can, you know, change a whole dynamic. And when someone comes like that into like a friend group or a family group, say you date someone, the other people could be like, you know, I was willing to go along with it initially, but I want this to come to an end because I don't like that. That's different. And then it kind of gets me up in my head about how I live my life, and why don't I take more inspired action in my life, and why do I settle for the status quo, and why am I not more inspired by love. I used to view myself as a emotionally balanced, loving person, but maybe I am kind of more controlling. Maybe I am a little more shallow. Maybe I am a little more intimidating. And I don't like those people being here. And so sometimes when you're in friendships or relationships or workplaces, other people don't like people who are more independent, more authentic, more balanced, more just, more fair, work more cooperatively with people, because they were kind of running the show, kind of manipulating people. And then they can want those people to go. And sometimes you're dating people like that, and their friend group or their original family group or something doesn't like it because, well, you're going to move forward in life differently than we're moving forward, and that will kind of bother me. And instead of my dealing with my own mental conflict about you going living your more authentic dream life, I think instead I might try to confuse you and manipulate you and try to get you not to invest in believing in yourself and believing in your dreams and aligning with those encouraging, supportive people in your life, because I don't want to change, and so I don't want you to change, and you let those people go and you align with me. So that's the whole thing. We have all these different people in the world. We have people in our life that we could move forward with in a lot of ways that would seem victorious and successful. It just might be a little more superficial and shallow. They might be a little bossy, controlling, egotistical, or whatever. Can we like them? Can we love them? Yes. But we also, in a world of duality, could be in friendships and relationships and workplaces with people who are more inspired to put in work and effort, motivated more authentically from love. And who are we going to invest our time, energy, and effort into? And some high vibe people are like, I am done investing in the people who I've already seen the truth of, that they're not motivated and inspired to work together with me in a more just and fair and balanced and loving way. And they're maybe kind of immature and egotistical and self centered to boot. And some of the people who tried an old tactic, repeating an old pattern. Oh, you won't love and believe in yourself. I've seen you kind of indulge people before. I've known you and you're in another relationship and you put up with a lot of shit. I bet I can try that. And then they took a risk. That's shadowy Aries in the Fool card. Took a foolish risk in a relationship. They had an opportunity to give birth to something new and move forward in a more emotionally balanced way. And we all could have done that in our life, where we had people that kind of challenged us to grow and heal and mature ourselves when we weren't quite ready for it. And we kind of took some foolish risks. Well, we also can get in relationships with people who take some foolish risks. I don't think high vibe people weren't trying to manipulate people, though. They just really, it's like, I don't think that's my truth right now. And they went and did what they lived their life that was more aligned with their truth at the moment. But more shadowy, deceptive people are really trying to manipulate people. I do want to be in a relationship with you. I just don't want to move forward like that. I don't think you'll believe in yourself. I think you'll come back and do the relationship the way I want. And now some of those people are seeing it didn't work, and you're not making them another offer, and you're not working with them, and you're not communicating with them. Some loving people in their life are moving on. And while they were putting in work and effort to try to manipulate you, all the days that they were doing that and being kind of manipulative and deceptive and bossy and controlling, you were doing this work within yourself to deal with the truth that these people were more immature, and to quit indulging them in their immature behavior, and to figure out why you do that and that you need to stop doing that. And then we have this card at the end not showing itself, which is the child. Some people, the child could be that some people, and we all, I think, can all be in more codependent energy because we haven't learned to love ourselves, and we're looking for other people to play, like, to love us. and provide more of the stability and security and love in our life because we haven't learned to do it within ourselves. So we all can be a more codependent energy, but then there's people who abuse the fact that we are maybe being authentic and loving, but we are kind of more codependent. And then they use that to try to manipulate and control us. And it's like, that's taking advantage of my more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And I'm tired of people doing that. And if I don't want it to happen again, the only person I can change is me. And I have to be bold and brave enough to stand up for what I believe in, and I can love people, and I'm going to distance myself from you because you are being abusive in some way. You're not being just and fair. And either you put an end and grow up and mature yourself to figure out why you do that. But in the meantime, I'm not going to keep investing time, energy, and effort into you. And then other people want you to be like a mother figure to them, and they get to be in this immature energy, and you're just supposed to put up with their poor behavior. It's like, I didn't get in a relationship with a child, and if you are my child, I'm assuming you're an adult child now, and I'm not, that phase of life where I played that certain type of role in your life, like you were a child, you're not a child anymore. It is time for you to fly the nest and go create your own life and put in work and effort to be more inspired within yourself. Take over that role of being, I can still be a loving, nurturing person in your life and supportive person, but you need to take over that role of being that within yourself so that you can go on your own adventure and give birth to your own life. And my phase of being your parent and being, where my life, I don't have my own life because I did dedicate my life to being more focused on you. That phase of life is over. You're an adult now. Now it's time for me to move forward and go on the next adventure of my life, and you can go on the next adventure of your life. And we have a different relationship. And then there's some people, some children who are adults don't like that. And some parents don't like that their children, in turn, are saying that to them. You're not the boss of me anymore. And, I have flown the coop and I'm going on my own adventure and I am living my own life. And yes, I love you, but I don't need you to play that role and I don't want you to play that role because that phase of how we had moved forward at one time is over. We're on to the next stage of life, and there's always going to be people who don't like going to that next stage of life, and they don't like other people going to that next stage of life. And then the child can also represent, you know, it could represent that you have that more hopeful, believing spirit again, or maybe you didn't before. You have learned to love yourself. You have learned that life is about learning lessons. You did learn the lessons you were meant to learn from these different phases of life, and you're ready to go on this new journey. And you don't have an interest in repeating some of these kind of relationship dynamics that before you could have put up with. I've already been there and done that. It's just like I don't want to go back to being like a 15-year-old and interacting with people who act like 15-year-olds, and some adults act like 15-year-olds, right? And it's like, you can all hang out together. I'm moving on. I'm going to hang out with some different people. And the child can be giving birth to high vibe people. Try to encourage other people to have that hopeful, believing spirit, and some people don't. And some people want you to be that loving, encouraging person in their life, and they don't want to be that person within themselves, and they want a more codependent relationship. It's like, I love my own inner child nature enough that I'm only going to get in relationships with other people who have learned to love themselves and get out of more codependent energy, who know how to treat people in a more just and fair and emotionally balanced way. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Leo energy, who have been illuminated to some truths? The Five of Swords, the Knight of Swords, and the Seven of Wands. And the reason is because of the King of Swords. So the Seven of Wands is Leo energy. You have been illuminated to the truth. In the King of Swords, Libra energy, you're standing up for your truth. Other people are standing up for their truth, and some of those people's truths isn't very nice. What they think is just and fair, you don't think is just and fair. Did you want them to move forward? The Seven of Wands wants to move forward, defending something that's victorious and successful, inspired by love. And some people wanted you to defend something that maybe in your ego and out of ego, or because you love them, keep defending them and moving forward with them. But you saw the truth that their dream and what they think is just and fair isn't your dream and what you think is just and fair. And the difference between the Five of Swords and the One Sword is the Four of Swords. We're supposed to meditate on the truth, heal from our past pain and heartbreak, and some of our fears and our insecurities and our egotistic and our lazy and our bossy and our controlling and our self-defensive and self-protective ways of being, to move forward in truth and love, to have a victory worth defending. And the other people are like, well, no, but I want to come with you anyway, and I still want to bring all my conflict with me. I don't want to see the truth of it. I think that's just and fair. And you're like, that is not just and fair. That is not a victory worth defending. Your truth is more about you and ego and being indulged and being defensive. You need to go find some people like you to go hang out with. And I'm going to defend people in my life who are more motivated and inspired by truth and love. And being just and fair. And treating other people the way they like to be treated. So some people have mental conflict because you work through the emotional confusion and mental conflict you have it to stand up for things have to be just and fair, and you treat other people the way you like to be treated, or you can go find some other people to hang out with. And then they're like, well, some of those other people already ended a relationship with me. It's like, yeah, well, go find some new people to hang out with. But you're not moving forward with me in that energy. I have been there and done that. So what's coming up? And I think as you move forward in that energy, in a very stable, grounded, just, fair, authentic, balanced, loving, encouraging way, yeah, there's going to be other people. You probably have people in your life already that defend you and stand up for you, and you have people in your life you stand up and you defend, and other people who are willing to stand up and defend you, who want to move forward with you in this energy, new people who want to come in, and you're just going to listen to your intuition about different people who try to come towards you and people you meet. And some of the people you meet as you move forward are going to be defensive to you because you're not letting them be the next person to manipulate and be bossy and controlling with you. And everybody's going to be like, you change. The fives talk about change. It's like, yeah, I did. And if you want to be bossy and controlling and immature and manipulative, then I wish you peace and I'm moving on. And it's like, well, you're supposed to let me be manipulative and bossy and controlling. It's like, no. That might be your idea of how the world should work. That's shadowy Aries thinking they're the boss of the world and should be able to control and manipulate people. It's like, you have to find someone else to control and manipulate. And you and the other high vibe people are going to stand up for what you believe in. They can stand up for what they believe in. And eventually it might get to where some of the high vibe people in their life just aren't even willing to work together with them or invest in them anymore. You know, it is kind of like we live on different planets, but we're in the same world. What's coming up for the more shadowy people that they don't see coming? The Nine of Swords, the Knight of Swords, the Karma card, and the King of Swords. Why? Because of the Knight of Cups. So, the Knight of Cups and Pisces energy can be For the people that are harnessing this energy in a shadowy way, they keep having these illusions about relationships. They like to live more from their mind than their heart. And they think, well, if I present myself in this way and I act this way and blah, 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 judgment will go in my favor and people will be willing to defend me. But it's just an illusion. It's more, again, of putting on a show. It's not the truth of who they are. They try to use their emotions and their whatever they've got to try to manipulate people. And other people in the world are actually working together with people in truth and love, staying focused on looking to the future, focused on truth and love. That's like high vibe Gemini versus shadowy Gemini. And Gemini talks about our dualistic nature, about what our truth is. And high vibe people hold themselves accountable and want truth and justice and fairness. And some of these people in their life have been trying to get them to do this, to kind of grow up and mature themselves and love themselves, or see the truth about some illusions they have about relationships, that, they have to hold themselves accountable. And if they're not willing to hold themselves accountable, which is like the karma judgment card, there's going to be people who are going to keep being defensive to them. And they could have more people in their life being defensive to them. And of course, there's always going to be other people who they keep like, no, no, no. Oh, well, that person called judgment on me. I refuse to change. I am going to keep doing life the way I have been doing it. I am going to keep emotionally being kind of like full of myself and this illusion I have of myself. And though I might be stressed about a new beginning, or, for some reason, I don't know, being held accountable or being more just and fair, for some, though, in order to have a new beginning that they would want, they would have to speak their truth and be held accountable for their actions. And because some of them are not willing to do that, or just, Virgo can talk about revealing the truth. The King of Swords can be about revealing the truth. Needless, the truth sets you free. But some people don't want to reveal their truth. Maybe they'd have to get out, stop moving forward with something else to go live their truth, and they could be afraid of being judged for it. Well, then you're going to keep living and investing in an illusion, living more from your mind than your heart, where it's not really love. It's like the illusion of love, but not love. If you were deceptive and manipulative before and you don't want to admit the truth that you maybe did try to manipulate and control people, or you were kind of immature or more about yourself, high vibe people who've learned lessons in life, they're not in their ego about it anymore. Do they maybe go through a period of feeling shame and whatever? Yeah, but as time goes by, they get over it. And I'm kind of glad it all happened, because it made me look at life differently. And if that wouldn't have happened, and I kind of wouldn't have driven my life off into the ditch, I wouldn't be where I'm at now. And some people are going to be stressed out that they decided to invest in living more from their mind than their heart, that they didn't listen to their intuition, because some of the people that they could have gotten justice with don't view them as someone they trust anymore. And we can all have experienced that at different times in our life. High vibe people work through it. Okay. There are consequences to our life. Some people never thought they would be held accountable for their actions, didn't think they needed to worry about it. High vibe people work through it. Okay. There is karma for my actions. I've got to deal with the truth of that. I'm not going to give up on my dreams just because some things that I wanted to have work out didn't work out. The truth is, the divine must have a different plan for my life. And I now have learned different lessons. I am more balanced. I am more stable. I am more grounded. I am more authentically myself. I'm less in my ego, less codependent. I believe the divine has a plan for my life. If you were meant to still be someone who is meant to be in my life, you would be. And if you're not, then I need to get out of my ego about it. And I believe the divine has a plan for my life if I get out of my ego. And I think I'm going to move forward victoriously. And I'm going to put work and effort to move forward in an emotionally balanced, stable way. And other people are going to do that also. And other people are going to speak their truth to people that they realize are not aligned with their truth. And they're going to move on. And the shadowy people will be stressed that they decided to invest in these shadowy ways of being, but that is their coping mechanism. And for some of them, they're not stressed out about it. It's just like, oh, well, I'm smart, or it really is all about me. And apparently they weren't going to be all about me, so I'll go find someone else who will be more all about me. And they, you know, some people are shadowy, and God uses all things for God's purposes. God could use those people just to help other people decide if this is their truth or not. Really? Is this what you want? This person is deceptive, manipulative, bossy, controlling, intimidating, narcissistic. That can be what shadowy Scorpio is. Doesn't have your best interest at heart, isn't very loving. If this is what you want to manifest, you have free will. You can do that. If we didn't have options in life and choices, what's free will? And it gives people the opportunity. Oh shit, I think I better get more bold and brave and confident within myself if I don't want this to be what I keep investing in. And I am going to get more bold and brave and confident to not keep moving forward with that. And I'm going to do this work to free myself from my more immature, codependent nature, to stand up for what I believe in. That will not be my life. That will not be my truth, because that is not just and fair. And I'm going to work through the emotional confusion and illusion that I could have had of some people at one time when I maybe did think of them as being a more just and fair and stable and grounded, loving person, because they have shown me over and over and over that is not the truth of who they are. And I'm not going to stay in my ego about it. I don't control people. I offer people truth and love, and if that's their truth, they would be motivated and inspired to move forward with me in that energy. And if they don't, that's not their truth. And they can go be that way with someone else. And they might not like it, some of them, because I think even shadowy people can like to be in relationships with loving and encouraging people, but they might have to go indulge someone else who's more bossy and controlling if they want some of these things in the world that they're not willing to put in work and effort for, or be more just and fair for. They'll have to go find someone who's willing to let them indulge them. And they, in turn, will really be willing to indulge them, maybe in their more immature ways of being. And it won't be feeling like it's probably moving forward very victoriously and successfully like they thought. But we reap what we sow, and if you plant bad seeds, you're going to reap a bad harvest. And some people think, no, 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 I can plant bad seeds and it should all work out just fine. Well, again, everybody's kind of on the learning curve, and what people might have put up with when they were younger, and you get in relationships, or you get older and dealing with older people, or you work at workplaces that have dealt with people like that already, the hammer can come down pretty quick. There's a lot less patience for bullshit. And some people keep thinking, well, gosh, those last people kind of kept me around for like 2 to 5 years. It's like, yeah, we're not. You might not last 1 year. So there you go, Leo energy. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.